Half price, no questions asked. Everyone looked away, until one cowboy didn't. In a yard full of noise and dust, one raised hand changed 2 broken lives forever. The trading yard at Dry Mesa sounded like every other frontier. Morning, men arguing over cattle weight, mules bucking against reins, boots and wagon wheels stirring dust into steady brown sheets. A few women lingered near the feed stall, baskets on their arms, eyes on their own business. Nobody looked twice at anything that didn't belong to them. It was just another day built on noise and deals. Then 2 men dragged a bound Apache woman toward the wooden platform. The voices didn't stop, not exactly. They thinned, like people suddenly decided to half-notice while pretending. They hadn't seen a thing. Rope bit deep into her wrists, tight enough to darken the skin. Her feet were bare, bruised, dust-caked. The deerskin dress she wore was torn down the front, like someone had ripped it open in a hurry. She held one arm across her chest, trying to keep the fabric in place. But her body shook from exhaustion, and every breath made the neckline slip lower. Her hair was braided, feathers still tangled in it, the ends gray with dirt. She didn't cry, didn't beg. Her eyes were dull and heavy, like shock had already burned through her and left only a hard, quiet calm behind. The auctioneer stepped up, wiping sweat from his neck with a cloth. "Half price!" he barked. 50% off. Take her today. No questions asked. He said it loud, proud, like he was selling spoiled apples instead of a human being. Men shifted, spat tobacco, looked away. Everyone there knew what taking her meant. Fights, rumors, danger, maybe someone coming after you for revenge. Life was already heavy enough out here. Nobody wanted extra trouble. One man near the pens muttered, "Only a fool touches that," another answered. "Or someone desperate." Rhett Marlowe stood at the back of the crowd, arms crossed, boots dusty from 3 days on the road. He'd come to town for salt, nails, flour, and rope. That was all. His ranch sat 15 miles out, and he liked it that way. Quiet, no neighbors, no trouble. He'd spent years after the war fixing fences, tending cattle, riding the same empty stretch of land. It wasn't happiness, but it was calm. He told himself he was done with blood and screaming, done watching people break. When he saw the woman stumble on the steps to the platform, something tightened hard in his chest. Not pity, recognition. He'd seen that empty stare on soldiers who'd lost too much, on women dragged from their homes during raids when nobody came fast enough. The auctioneer shouted again, louder, "Half price, boys. Ain't no better deal." Men looked away again. The woman stared straight ahead, breathing hard, chest rising and falling fast. Arm still holding her dress closed by instinct, even though she barely had the strength to stand. Rhett knew no one else would step forward. He also knew walking away meant leaving her to whoever came next. He'd promised himself long ago not to get involved in other people's misery again. But watching her sway, rope cuts dark on her wrists, anger stirred slow and familiar beneath his ribs. He raised his hand. The crowd turned. A few scoffed. One man shook his head like Rhett had lost his mind. Rhett didn't answer. He walked forward and set, his coins on the table, hard-earned, money he had plans for. Those plans died the moment he saw her fall forward. He pulled his knife, sliced the rope clean, then stepped back so she'd have space. She collapsed anyway, knees hitting the boards. He caught her before she hit harder, arms steady, lifting her gently. She didn't fight, didn't cling. Her body just went limp from exhaustion. The auctioneer shrugged and pocketed the coins fast. "She's yours. No returns." Rhett ignored him, adjusted her so she could breathe, then carried her past staring men toward his horse tied out front. She felt too light, like she hadn't eaten well in days. Her head rested against his chest, but her hands stayed tight against her dress, still trying to cover herself. That small act hit him harder than anything else. He set her on the saddle, climbed up, steadied her against him. She leaned on his back because she had no choice, breath shaking with each step of the horse. He didn't speak. He just guided the reins and rode out of town, leaving the noise behind. The ride home was long and slow. Twice she tried to straighten. Twice she slumped again. When she lost her grip, he reached back, caught her forearm gently, set her upright again. She didn't thank him, just breathed shallow and tired. At his cabin he dismounted and carried her inside. The room was small: bedroll, stove, table, iron pot, saddle gear on pegs, simple, clean, quiet. He laid her on the bedroll by the fire, draped his coat over her shoulders so the torn dress wouldn't slip open anymore. She blinked up at him, wary, ready to flinch if he moved wrong. He didn't touch her again, just filled a tin cup with water and held it where she could see it. "You drink first," he said, steady. She hesitated, then reached, fingers shaking. Drank too fast, coughed, water spilled down her wrist. He looked away to give her space. Set a bowl of beans near her. "Eat when you can." Outside, night rolled in, coyotes far off. Inside, fire crackled, and she pulled. His coat tighter around her chest, keeping herself covered. This time because she chose to. Rhett sat at the table, elbows on knees, staring at the ground. He told himself he hadn't planned this. Told himself he'd made a simple choice. But deep down he knew better. Bringing her home wasn't about rescue. It was about not walking away again. Morning came slow and grey. Cold air clung to the cabin walls. The only sound was her soft breathing beneath his coat. She slept like someone who hadn't rested in days. Rhett sharpened his knife quietly, boots planted firm, careful not to startle her. He'd woken early, made a fire, boiled water for coffee, then remembered he had to think about more than himself now. He watched her a moment, not with hunger, not with curiosity, but trying to understand how someone survived long enough to end up on an auction block and still hold themselves upright instead of breaking. He hadn't asked her name, didn't know where she came from or what danger followed her. He didn't regret raising his hand, not once, but tension stayed tight inside him, a steady awareness that bringing her here meant responsibility and possible trouble waiting down the line. She woke fast, like someone used to fear, eyes snapping open, body tensing, scanning the cabin and landing on him. For a moment she looked ready to run, though she had nowhere to go. Then she noticed the untouched beans and steaming cup. Hunger flickered, but she stayed still. "You're safe here," Rhett said, voice low. "No one follows you out here." She didn't answer. Pulled his coat tighter. He realized she needed clothes, real ones. He opened his trunk, pulled out a spare cotton shirt and simple wool trousers tied at the waist. "These'll fit better," he said. "You can change behind the curtain." She stared at them like she expected a price. He didn't push. Walked outside, closing the door halfway so she knew he wasn't watching. While she changed, he hauled wood, fed the horses, checked the fence line, kept himself visible through the window. When he came back, she stood by the table, his shirt hanging loose, trousers tied at the waist, bare feet planted like she wasn't sure she belonged. Her old dress lay folded by the door, folded, even torn, like it mattered. He noticed her rope-burned wrists and set a tin of salve on the table. "It helps." She hesitated, then dabbed it on, slow, wincing once. He poured coffee, slid cornbread toward her. "Eat, then we'll talk." She ate small bites, careful. After a long silence, she spoke, voice rough. "My name, Ayanna." "Rhett," he answered. "Why take me?" Suspicion edged every word. He thought before answering. "Didn't want to watch you fall into worse hands." She studied him. "Men do not take without reason. I don't want anything you don't give." That landed heavy between them. She breathed out shaky, something loosening inside. "People who sold me, not my tribe. White men, they forget fast." Rhett nodded, but still kept his rifle loaded. "You can stay here until you choose otherwise," he said. "Nobody owes nobody." Her voice softened. "You help, what?" "Because I've seen too much done wrong already." She looked at his coat, his boots, his hands. Outside, a winter breeze pushed against the cabin boards. Inside, fire cracked. She nodded once. "Not trust, not yet. But a beginning." Rhett stood. "We start slow. Water from the creek. Feed the horses. Fix the door hinge." Ayanna studied him. In town, every man wanted something from her. Here, Rhett wanted a hinge fixed. The normal felt strange. "I will help," she said. They stepped outside into the cold morning. Two strangers who didn't ask for each other. Two people staying not because they had to, but because walking away would feel heavier than staying put. Part 2. Sunlight came sharper by mid-morning as Rhett and Ayanna stepped into the yard. Frost still clung to the fence rails, and the ground felt stiff underfoot. Rhett carried a water bucket and a coil of rope. Ayanna walked a step behind. his coat hanging long on her sleeves rolled. Bare feet now covered in thick socks he'd found in a storage crate. They were too big, but she didn't complain. Her eyes kept scanning the tree line, shoulders tense, like she expected someone to jump out at any moment. It was habit shaped by fear, not choice, Rhett noticed. He said nothing at first, just let her walk near him. Letting her see the stillness here was real, not a trick. He led her toward the horse pen, slow pace, giving her time to breathe into the land. Ayanna watched the horses closely, her hand twitching when one snorted. She looked ready to bolt, even though the gate was shut and nothing threatened her. "You rode here," Rhett said finally. She blinked, unsure how to answer. "You held on," he added. "That counts." It wasn't praise. It was acknowledgement. It mattered more than comfort. Rhett brushed down his mare, checking her hooves. Ayanna stood still at first, not sure what to do. The silence from her side felt heavy. Did she know ranch work? Would she see his help as a debt? Ayanna broke her stillness and moved slowly toward the feed barrel, lifted the lid, filled the bucket halfway. It was an uncertain act. Careful, like she expected to be corrected or struck for stepping wrong. Rhett didn't stop her. He watched long enough to see she understood the task, then returned to his work. "You ever work stock?" he asked. "Not horses, goats, fires, water, carry wood. Work's work," he replied. "You don't have to know everything today," she nodded, relief flickering behind her guarded face. When they finished, they walked to the creek. The path wound between low brush and bare winter trees, ground crunching under boots and socks. The water ran cold and clear. Ayanna knelt, cupping a drink. She flinched when her sleeves slid up, exposing rope burns again, not from pain, from memory. Rhett noticed her instinct to cover them, like she feared shame more than cold. He crouched beside her, giving space. "I'll get you boots next time I go to town," he said. "Not charity, just fact." She nodded once. "If I earn?" "You already earned staying alive," he answered. "Rest takes work too." That wasn't gentle. It was true. They filled the bucket and headed back slow. Ayanna's pace steadied. On the porch, Rhett sensed the shift. Small but real. Inside, she studied the room like learning how to exist inside walls without fear. She spoke before he asked. "My people gone. Many killed. Others scattered. Some sold. I ran. Men who sold me forget once they got paid. You want to stay here a while?" he asked. "You can. Nobody owns you." Her jaw tightened. "You think I cannot leave?" "You can leave any time," he said. "Door stays open. You don't have to run to prove something." Her breath caught. Respect landed heavy. "I stay for now." Not surrender. Choice. Rhett nodded once. He grabbed a hammer. "Help me fix the door." Hinge after lunch. Normal. Work. Quiet. Ayanna studied him. In town, men looked at her with hunger. Here, Rhett wanted a hinge fixed. The normal felt almost strange. "I will help," Rhett set cornbread and jerky on the table. Ayanna sat, posture rigid but calmer. She ate without rushing. He sat opposite her, not staring. Outside, wind brushed the cabin. Inside, they shared stillness without fear. Later, he handed her a sewing kit. "Your dress, if you want it fixed." She looked at the folded deerskin. "I fix. But I wear your shirt today. Warm. Wear whatever feels right," he said. No hesitation. She stitched slow, steady. He worked the hinge, glancing now and then to make sure she was warm enough. For the first time since she arrived, she hummed under her breath, quiet, brief, not trust yet, but a crack in the wall. By the next morning, frost coated the water buckets and the windows fogged from the stove's heat. Ayanna woke first. She sat up slowly, adjusting Rhett's shirt around her shoulders, eyes scanning the cabin out of habit. She looked out the window and saw Rhett feeding the horses slow and steady. He didn't look back to check if she ran. That surprised her. When she stepped outside, cold bit quick. Rhett glanced once, taking in her bare wrists, her careful steps. "Eat first," he said. "We work easier with food in us." She paused. "I cook. You can. But you don't have to. I choose to." Cooking was safe ground. She warmed beans and cornbread, hands steady. Rhett cut firewood outside. Quiet house, not awkward. While she ate, she studied him. His rifle sat by the door, not a threat, just ready. He watched the tree line sometimes, not paranoid, prepared. "I don't expect trouble," he said without her asking. "But it's foolish not to stay ready." She nodded. She understood readiness. Wood line needs clearing, he said. You can help carry or stay and mend. I carry. He handed her gloves. Too big. Work gear, not restraints. That settled something in her spine. They walked to the tree line. He chopped. She gathered limbs, pressing them to her chest, breathing hard but steady. After 2 hours, he called it. Enough. No reason to break. Yourself. Back at the cabin, Rhett checked supplies. Need flour soon, coffee, nails. Ayanna stiffened. Tomorrow morning, he said. You don't have to go. I stay. Fear flickered of people, not woods. Door bolts from inside, he said. If someone comes, you don't open. I open only for you. Not trust, self-preservation, he nodded. Inside, she fixed her dress. He warmed his hands by the fire. I had a family once, he said quietly. Illness took them. I built this place for quiet. Quiet is safe, she said. Sometimes, he replied. Sometimes it's lonely. She tied the last stitch, folded her dress, kept his shirt around her shoulders. As night came, she sat near the fire with knees pulled to her chest. He leaned against the wall, not guarding her, just resting near her. 2 wounded people learning to breathe in the same room without fear. Rhett woke before dawn. Habit. He set water, bread, jerky, and a rifle within her reach. She woke when he placed it down, breath catching. It's morning. I'm riding for flour. Back by midday. I stay here, she murmured. Door stays barred. What if strangers come? You don't open. Fire if you need. She held his gaze longer this time. Why trust me with your gun? You won't use it wrong. I can tell, he rode out. In town he bought flour, coffee, nails, and women's boots. Plain and sturdy. He also bought cloth and better thread. When he rode back, he whistled once. The door opened slow. She stood inside, holding the rifle, pointed down but ready. When she saw him, her shoulders lowered. You used the fire? I boiled water. Good. He set the boots in front of her. For you. Her throat tightened. I repay. You don't owe me. They worked outside that afternoon. She wore the boots, followed him to the fence line, carried tools, held boards steady. You are not afraid I run, she said. If you go by choice, he answered. I don't cage people. Men cage what they own. I don't own you. That truth hit deep. Later, his hand brushed her elbow to steady her. She froze, breath sharp. He pulled back immediately. You're all right. I won't take what isn't mine. After a long moment, she whispered, I know. That night she cooked beans with herbs she found. He nodded. It tastes good. She watched him eat like she'd earned something, not affection. Just one more day without fear. She sat closer to the fire than before. He mended a bridle. For the first time, she didn't sit with her back to the wall. 2 people sharing space without bracing for hurt. Cold wind pushed against the cabin the next morning. Ayanna woke slow, not startled. No danger sounds, just Rhett feeding the stove. You slept long, he said. She didn't apologize. Breakfast was quiet. Snow flurries dusted the yard. We should ride the far pasture, he said. Storm's coming, she froze at ride. I walk. Too far. I'll lead slow. If you say stop, we stop. Choice mattered more than comfort. She nodded. He saddled the horses. She climbed awkwardly, clutching the strap. He led ahead, giving her space. Halfway across the pasture, she said, I thought I'd die before winter ends. You? Didn't. I was heavy price once. Now I feel nothing owned. That's how it should be. They fixed a crooked fence post. Snow gathered on their shoulders. She didn't flinch when his hand brushed hers, passing the hammer. When snow melts, she said quietly, I think of leaving. I don't know where to go. Knowing you can go is different than needing to. She looked at him. And you? If I leave, you stay alone again. I lived alone long before you came. Quiet doesn't kill me, but it hurts. Snow thickened. Her horse slipped on ice. She froze. Breathe, Rhett said steady. Lean forward. She did. The horse steadied. Back at the cabin, she dismounted on her own. I stay here until snow ends, she said. Maybe longer. Because I choose. Then we'll see spring together, he answered. Not love yet, just 2 souls standing where they chose to stand.